Welcome back to the Career Pivot series. Today is the last conversation in this series. I am so excited. Thank you for following along for the last couple of weeks. We've heard from so many cool, amazing people who have made pretty dramatic career pivots. And today I'm very excited to bring you the last conversation. If you don't know me, my name is Ibiemi Balogan. I am a career transition coach, and I work with mid-career professionals that are looking to make career pivots. And this September, I decided to invite a whole bunch of people that I know that have made massive pivots to talk about their story. The next person I'm bringing on is Mthabisi, and he is a public speaker. But he started his career as an accountant. So we're going to be talking about how he went from, that audit life, that CPA life, that accounting life into public speaking, working in tech, and everything in that space. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mthabisi to the stage. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited for this conversation. We met a couple months ago now. We met at an event, a physical event. Can you believe those still exist? But yeah, we met at an entrepreneurs meetup, and we just completely connected, just talking about entrepreneurship, talking about the journey. And I was like, I just need to hear more of your story. So thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us.
I'm excited.
I guess my first question is just tell us a little bit more about yourself and just the beginnings of your stories.
Yeah, for sure. And, a plug to you, because after we met, I took a lot of value out of our conversation and even wanted to connect you with my sister, which I know you did.
Yes.
And I had a conversation with her, and she took a lot of value out of that conversation. So it just goes to show that it was mutual. I felt that energy, and there was just something about you and the work that you were doing where I felt like, no, my sister has to talk to you because it's spot on for some areas that she's continuing to grow in and excel in as well. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah. So what was the question?
Just tell me a little bit more about yourself so that the people know who you are.
Yeah. So Mthabisi, a lot of people call me Ta. Born and raised in Zimbabwe, moved to Vancouver for university right after high school in Zimbabwe, and studied accounting, as you know, in university, good old accounting, and went through the classic CPA recruiting process, which I started out my accounting career at KPMG, and then transitioned and pivoted into product management, and am currently doing both product management as well as public speaking coaching, keynote speaking, and all of those fun things. But truly, the thing that I say is the most important thing about me is I love dancing. I am a self-proclaimed dancer. That's one of the most important things.
Listen.
One of the most important things.
I believe that like no other. So we follow each other on Instagram, and you have been doing the wedding circuit, okay? You have been doing wedding after wedding after wedding. And every single video, you are killing the dance floor.
It's a must. It's absolutely a must. I cannot leave without shutting down the dance floor. It is an absolute must.
You need to invite him to your wedding. If you need someone to shut down the dance floor, you need to invite him to your wedding. Yes. But the leg work, I've been looking at it and I was just like, okay.
Yeah. No, please. I am accepting invites to go shut down dance floors at weddings across the globe.
I love that. So tell us a little bit more about where the pivot came. So from accounting into product management, obviously those are wildly different fields. Even the archetype of an accountant is more so like introverted and like very precise, and product management is literally like, let's just build stuff and like see if it works. And like, it's such a different kind of space. So let's talk about how you made that. Like, why did you pick product management? Actually, let's start there.
Yeah. So I love sharing this story because it's such a big part of, why I am where I am today. But when we were going through the CPA process, studying for exams, I had two really close friends, Danny G, and Bradley Curtis. And we went through the process together at KPMG in Vancouver. And one of the things that we started to do as we were studying for these exams, we were starting to plan for the future. As you may know, most people that go through all these auditing firms, because it's such a grind, you inevitably leave after doing your CA, your CPA. So there's a few people that stay, but typically people leave and people transition out into financial analyst, into controller, into senior accountant, into all those types of roles. There's a pretty clear path towards leaving the firm and what you would do when you leave the firm. And what we sat down and had a discussion with ourselves is we don't want to just do the thing because everyone does it. Because everyone goes into those specific roles. Is there a world in which there's actually other roles that we're more suited for? And if we can just take the time, because we're not jaded by like Big Four life, to actually think through what it is that we want to do next, then maybe we can be in a better position. So it was a super intentional process that we took, not knowing really where it would land us. But what it looked like practically was doing a personality test together, the three of us, while we were studying for the exams. Did a personality test, figuring out what are our strengths, and going around the room asking each other, what do you think I'm good at? Because sometimes the people around you know you better than you know yourself. 100%. And that process is what brought out, pretty three clear things for me. One is I love public speaking and speaking in front of people. So how can I create or be in a career where I'm doing that more often than not? Second is I love problem solving. So what exactly can I be doing that allows me to problem solve? And the last thing is I love working with people. All the time in my performance reviews at KPMG, it was a lot of soft skill stuff. He's so good in the audit room. He's such a vibe in the audit room. People like being around him, all those things. And I used to frown on those like soft skills. I was like, come on, tell me about my accounting. Aren't I good in accounting? But it was all the soft skills that kept on coming up over and over and over again. So it was, how do I lean into those three things or find a role doing those three things specifically? And from there, it was like, okay, what industry would I want to work in? And obviously tech was booming and is continuing to boom. And the goal was to figure out, okay, I want to get into tech. So now these are the things I want to do in tech, and I know I want to get into tech. So what does it look like to actually work in there? What type of role can I have? And honestly, it was just a LinkedIn circuit of coffee chats of people that worked in tech and trying to figure out, what do you do? Because we were in this silo in these accounting firms of just knowing sort of the accounting, finance trajectories of life, not really knowing what else other people do for work. So the LinkedIn sort of coffee chats helped me to understand, oh, this is what people do for work. What's a data analyst? What is a product owner? What's a product manager? Had no idea what any of those things were. And speaking to people and understanding what are those things helped me to then say, okay, I think I want to do this. I framed it to someone. I remember it so clearly. I was talking to a product manager who worked at TELUS. I was asking him about what he does. And I was like, maybe I want to be a data analyst. Maybe I want to be just throwing out all these random things. And I explained to him what I want to do, those same strengths. And he says, it sounds like you want to be a product manager. And I was like, what's a product manager? And he explains a day in the life of a product manager to me. And I was like, oh, that sounds like that's it. That sounds like it's it. There was several coffee chats where I got to that point of, okay, I want to get into product management. How do we now get into product management? So that's the why around it all.
So what you're saying actually is that I need to hire you on as a secondary coach, because that is one for one how exactly I work with my clients. Like, and that's so wild because that's exactly the process. Like, literally start with you, figure out your passions, your abilities, the things that you're good at, ask friends, like literally to a T. Then go out there, do research, talk to people, learn more about the opportunities, figure out the industry based on your values, your interests, and then combine. Like, when I tell you to a T,
it works. Your process works. Yes.
And listen, I am going to be hosting a group program, and I'm looking for secondary coaches. So I'm going to be hitting you up. I'm going to be hitting, because I can't do all the coaching. There's just a lot of demand, and I need secondary help. So no, you're 100% right, because that is exactly how you make that pivot. I think people see these things on LinkedIn, right? They see accountant to product manager. How? What does it take? Da, da, da. And they're like, I'm going to go back to school and get a master's degree. And it's just like, wait, hold on.
That's a lot. I love that. I love that. And hey, hit me up. Hit me up.
Listen, I definitely, I feel like since I met you, I've just been making requests.
I'm here. I'm here. I did the same, like I said, with my sister. So I'm here.
So talk to me about, so you decided this, product management was the way to go. It's really what you wanted. How did you break in?
Yeah.
Talk about the grind of it.
Yeah. And that was the
How
next step.
long it took.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That was the next step. And this entire process probably took about a year and a half or so before I actually got into product management. So I was still working at KPMG, trying to figure it out and how do I get into product and doing this whole process. Because I did the whole personality test stuff in like our second, third year at KPMG. So it took from then to like another year and a half afterwards to actually break into product. But the process was, of course, looking at all the Googles, Facebook, Amazon, etc., all these fan companies.
As you should.
Yes, looking at those and then kind of walking back and saying, okay, slow down, sir. We don't have any product experience. Let's just, take a step back. Let's figure this out. And again, it was just conversations. It was conversations with people, and it's on the people, I think I've just been blessed with people around me that have put me in positions to succeed. I had a conversation with one of my friends telling him about what it was I was trying to do. And he says, oh, I know someone who did the exact same thing. You should talk to him. Done. Absolutely. Get on a call with him. And he says, oh, I transitioned from, it was PwC to product. And he starts to explain to me that because you have accounting experience without product experience, it might be better for you to go to a company that is an accounting software company that builds auditing software, because they value people that understand the customer pain points, the actual problem, even if you don't have product experience. The product experience can come, you can learn that on the job, but you actually have the customer pain point experience, which is extremely valuable when you're building a software, to be the actual customer that you are building the software for. And listen, me, I'm good at listening to instructions. I did exactly what he said to the exact company that he said. Ooh. This company called Caseware builds accounting software. Go there, then they are more willing to work on you with your product experience, but you are the customer. You have the pain points of the customer. And I did exactly that, and interviewed with them after applying to several. Let me not skip that. I applied to several product roles and got rejected. Several product roles and got rejected. And then eventually had a conversation with him where he said, just apply to an accounting software company. So I did that, and then I got into Caseware. And that's how I started the actual product journey, by finding a company that I had industry knowledge experience in, even though I didn't have product experience.
Yeah.
Building the product experience once you're now there.
Okay, so at this point, you're just interviewing for this job, because this is exactly
that's fine.
This is exactly what I teach. This is like true AT. This is exactly what I teach.
Is this an interview?
I'm not even joking. Because people, they overthink the process.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how am I going to position myself and say that I'm this person when I'm not? And what they're trying to do is they're trying to boost, right? They try to embellish on their resume, or they try to do all these things. And it's like, no. Let's mirror your industry knowledge to, this is exactly what I teach.
I love that. Like, focus on what you actually have. Like, you have a lot of things that add value to any sort of industry that you're going. And we laugh at some of these things when people say transferable skills. It's a real thing.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's literally how we position ourselves, right? So I'll give you a very, very good example. For the longest time, I've been doing career coaching, right? I started in recruitment and hiring and, getting people opportunities, being the one that was hiring. Then I moved into coaching and like working at a university, working with undergrad, working with mid-level, working with MBAs, and coaching and helping them kind of make those transitions. And then I became a manager and was actually a hiring manager, right? So I'm now hiring for my team. So I've sort of seen the hiring process from all around, and I absolutely loved it. And I've always been doing career coaching. And then I became a full-time entrepreneur. And all of a sudden, I was faced with different types of challenges. And I said to myself, if I can get through some of these challenges, I want to coach people on how to navigate their entrepreneurship journey. And then immediately all of the imposter syndrome. Well, what do I know about entrepreneurship? Like, who's gonna pay? Like, what am I gonna do about entrepreneurship? Like, you're just in your head and you're like, well, yeah, me. You have all these years in coaching. So you have the coaching skill down pat. So transferable skill number one. Number two, the knowledge, entrepreneurship, and career coaching, they're very similar in that you need to figure out your niche. So you need to figure out what you want in terms of your job, right? You need to figure out your positioning, meaning you need to work on your resume or you need to work on your LinkedIn if you're an entrepreneur. Well, you need to position it and you need to have conversations with potential clients and you need to have conversations with potential employees. And I realized that like a lot of the skills that I was doing in career coaching very well translated to entrepreneurship coaching. And it only took literally sitting down and thinking through those transferable skills, right? People overcomplicate this process. Well, I've been doing careers for 10 years. I can never just switch to entrepreneurs. Well, let's sit down and really think about it. And let's ask ourselves these questions. And oftentimes it's an opportunity thing, right? Sometimes we don't listen to that little voice that's like, hey, 3 or 4 people have asked you for the same thing. What do you think about it? Right? So that's why I want to switch a little bit and talk about the public speaking. Where did that come from? Like, obviously we know that you're, a charismatic person, you're very comfortable, but like, where did public speaking as a viable career, as a viable business, where did that come from?
Yeah, for sure. And I think some of these things come from stepping into opportunity, kind of like you said, how the more that you step into, or the more that you step into the path, the more the path becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. But it's not as clear when you haven't started walking in the path yet. And so I think that's what happened with the whole public speaking thing as well, where in university, and I talk about this a lot, on academic probation, at risk of being kicked out of university. And at that point, along with trying to improve my grades so that I could get off academic probation, speaking is something that started to build my confidence, because being on academic probation, just the negative thoughts of how did I get here and all of that, the stories that I told myself oftentimes were centered around I'm not really smart. Right? They were centered around that. And it took a lot to just build my confidence back up after that situation and that scenario. And what I found was through speaking, doing case competitions, and over the years, I did Toastmasters, competitive public speaking as well. Through doing that, that started to really build up my confidence. And it was more of this really worked for me to build my confidence. I think it can work for other people. A hypothesis. Really a hypothesis. Now I know there's so many public speaking coaches and there's people that do this. And I was like, wait, I didn't even know there was this world that existed. But back then, 6-7 years ago, it was just in my head of, this has helped me to build my confidence. I think I can help people to build their confidence by becoming better speakers. And I've just always felt like it's something I'm meant to do. There's something I was meant to do around speaking. Side note, in like 2016, when I started at KPMG, because I had this inkling that I wanted to do something around speaking, I talked to my friends and I was like, maybe I want to be a life coach. This is when I first started at KPMG. And one of them was like, oh, talk to my boy that's a life coach. I get on a call with him and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about, when I do get my CPA and all of that, maybe I should be a life coach. I just feel like I want to speak about something. And he's like, bro, you need to really, make sure that you have your life in order if you want to be a life coach. And I was like, you know what? Actually, I'm good. I'm actually okay. Don't worry about it. Let's just skip the life coach thing. Let's not do that. Okay. X on that one. But there's always been an inkling to want to do something around speaking, and just the ability that it had to build up my own confidence. It felt like this was something I could help to build other people's confidence. But then it was now an exercise again of going out and building quote unquote product market fit. Who do I actually coach? Who actually would want to be coached on speaking? And what does that actually look like? So I went to several events where people were pitching their businesses. And the goal was to figure out, can I add value in this space? And can I coach all these people? And do they want coaching? It was one day, and I keep telling you, I'm truly blessed with people that just speak into my life. I
Mhm.
went to an event and I was busy pitching myself, giving my elevator pitch about I'm a public speaking coach, even though I hadn't coached anyone yet. And this guy says to me, this amazing guy called Moses, he pulls me to the side and he says, "Hey, bro, I see what you were doing, pitching, trying to pitch your value and all of that. I think it would be extremely valuable if you showed them your work, if they actually
Mm.
saw what you can do for them, give them value for free up front. And then I think that might be a lot more valuable and it'll get you the desired outcome." And he said, "Why don't you build something like Taz public speaking scorecard and go to these events and just sit in the audience and take notes. And at the end of the event, give them the scorecard on how you've evaluated all the different speakers and give it to them and see what happens." Me, I told you, when people tell me what to do, I'll
You
go ahead.
follow instructions.
I'm good at following instructions. I went home, created a public speaking scorecard, and ranked speakers on a scale of 1 to 5 based on things like body language, vocal variety, the actual content, audience engagement. And at the bottom of it, it had a little comment section, but add a couple comments. Was talking about something excited, but didn't actually look excited. Wasn't
Mm.
talking about it, right? Body language, hands in pockets, all these little things. And I'd go to the event organizers. I did this with several accelerators at the end, and I'll give it to them and say, "Hey, I was just sitting in the audience. I'm a public speaking coach, and I was watching your entrepreneurs pitching their businesses. I just wanted you to have this to provide your founders." 10 times out of 10, people were shocked that I was in the audience doing this. And after that, it elicited the response of, "Hey, listen, let's get on a call. Instead of us giving the founders these notes, why don't you just come in and do a public speaking workshop and session with that?" That changed everything for me with the whole networking process and what I was doing, giving people the value up front, especially to people. It was so foreign. Public speaking coach. What is that? What is that really? Not a lot of people have heard about that before.
Mhm,
This
mhm.
was very foreign. But once people saw what it actually was, they're like, "Oh, we need this immediately. Come in. When can you come in? Can you help us out with our founders and help them to feel more confident speaking in front of people?"
That's amazing. That is amazing. And this is what we talk about when we're talking about taking opportunities. So many of us talk ourselves out of opportunities. We're so good at just talking ourselves out. Why do we do that?
And I think it's, I was reading something just on fight or flight survival. Once things start to feel scary, they'd say that we've kind of evolved to protecting ourselves when something starts to feel scary. So you start to have these negative thoughts because it's trying to protect you, because your mind is saying, "Hey, I'm scared of something." And so to protect you, we have these thoughts that just pull you away from going toward the thing that you are scared of, almost as a survival mechanism. "Oh,
Yeah.
you're scared. Let me stop you from doing the thing that you're scared of." And
Wow.
not knowing that it's actually something that you will benefit from. And it's not like a fight or flight death situation. It's actually something you can grow from.
So it's not a death situation. Yeah, no, I think that you're right. We just haven't evolved past being able to properly evaluate what is going on, right?
Mhm.
And to be fair, there's so much stimulus coming at us every single day.
Yeah.
Like there's so much. Like just scroll on LinkedIn for 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's a lot.
It's so much, right? And you find some stuff that's good, but then you get the struggle of not knowing how to implement, or just
Mhm.
getting a lot of really inspiring information but not knowing how to actually walk it out, so it just feels exhausting. Or
Mhm.
you compare yourself to other people and you don't see their behind the scenes. Like how many people are looking at you and looking at all the promo that we did for this conversation from
Mhm.
Accounting to the world stage and thinking, why is he so lucky? How is he able to make that shift? And like
Mhm.
you don't realize this is years in the making.
Yeah.
And this is the same thing that I've seen with every single person I've spoken to in these conversations around career pivot.
Mhm.
It takes years.
Mhm.
Anybody that's telling you that you're going to pivot in a month, they're lying to you.
Yeah. It takes a really long time. It
It
does.
takes years. And along the journey, you're picking stuff up and you're releasing stuff that you don't need, right?
Mhm.
So it's so important to go through that journey. I think it's so important to see those years as not, oh my goodness, it's going to take me years to get to my dreams, but oh my goodness, by the time I get there, I'll be better prepared. right?
Yeah.
You were able to get the knowledge about, hey, just give them a scorecard after going out to many events and pitching.
Yeah.
If you didn't do that, you wouldn't know, okay, that's not quite working, right? A lot of us will spend all of that time in research. How do I become a public speaker? Okay, well, this. Okay, well, that. Okay, well, this. And then you just research and research and research and research, and you have all this information and nothing to do with this.
That's so true. I think somewhere along the line, and I can't pinpoint it, I think I just started thinking a lot more about knowledge application versus knowledge acquisition.
Ooh, talk about that.
Consistently reading books, listening to podcasts, looking at all these LinkedIn influencers and acquiring all this knowledge and not actually going out into the world and testing it and applying it. Right. So I think at some points, and I just don't remember when, I think I really started thinking just a lot more about executing. And I think it's probably the product management kind of side of ship product into the world and see how the customer reacts. Just doing a lot of user research, discovery, etc. Let's actually put the product in the customer's hands, and they will tell us what they want over time, and we will build what the customer wants over time. The quicker we can get it out there, the quicker we get data to be able to validate whether we're going in the right or the wrong direction. But if we hold on to it and we don't ship it and we don't put it out, we never get that data. We never get that. It takes too long for us to be able to iterate on those ideas and those decisions. So at some point, it like has to flip.
You're 100% right, and I feel like you're preaching at me this morning. Like, I'm not even joking, because I'm in a pretty intensive program right now, and there's all of this, like, all these calls. We're learning about this, learning about that, learning about this, and they keep telling us you need to have a bias to action. I am someone that has a pretty big bias to action. Right. And maybe I'll ask you this, because at this point, this is just our coaching call. You're the one coaching, by the way. I have this huge bias to action, right? Bias to action around, okay, there's a new idea. Let's test it. Let's see how it works. But after a couple of years of testing a whole bunch of stuff, and like some stuff works, some stuff doesn't work, it could be exhausting, right? Around like, well, I tried so many strategies already and they moved the needle just a little bit, but like, I'm tired of trying, like, truthfully, right? How do you overcome that, right? How do you stay resilient, right? You said it was a year and a half of making this pivot, of hearing no's, of hearing rejections, of trying different strategies, of going to all these events. Like, how do you truly stay resilient in this process?
And it's tough. It's tough. It's really, really tough. There's days where I'm extremely tired of all these things, and the doubt starts to creep in, and why am I doing it, and all of that. And I heard this motivational speaker and coach who I listen to a lot. His name is Ryan Leake. And I heard him saying something that resonated so deeply. And he was saying he's so obsessed with figuring out who he can be if he really tried. He's so obsessed with figuring out who you could be if you really tried. And I think in those moments where I'm tired of trying, I'm just consistently reminded, if I just start relaxing and if I start doing nothing, I'm consistently reminded of the question of who could you be if you really tried? And I think that continues to propel me to want more and to do more, because if I do not try, we will never get the answer to that question. And I'm always just shocked and surprised. And I'm sure this is for you as well, by the things that you can achieve and accomplish when you do actually put yourself out there and try and try and try again. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, I did that? I actually don't live that. It's almost like an out-of-body experience of how did I do that then, when right now I'm feeling so low in resilience. How am I the same person that did those things? Because I don't feel like that person right now. But I think that's one of those ways. I think the one, reminding yourself of who could you be if you really tried. And then the second aspect of just looking back at some of the things that you have already done in moments where you were feeling low specifically. I talked to people in the speaking context about proof points. The reason why you have to go out and actually speak and why affirmations and all that stuff alone is not enough is because we need proof. We need proof that you can actually evidence that you can actually do the thing, that you can do difficult things, because that allows you in a moments of difficulty and of low resilience to look back and say, wow, I was so nervous when I did that, but I did it anyway. Wow, I was so scared. I didn't think I could do it, but I can do it anyway. And you are in that exact position again and again and again and again. And so having the proof to be able to look back on to say, I've done difficult things so many times. This is just another one of those times.
Yeah. Funny enough, I was actually just I was scrolling through LinkedIn and your post came up talking about embracing fear and like doing things that you're afraid of in this season, right? And then at the end, you asked a question like, what is one thing that you're like, and I think for me, I literally put it there, trying again in Q4 and knowing that like, I tried in Q1, I tried in Q2, I tried in Q3, and I'm going to try again in Q4.
You will.
Listen.
You will.
This is what it is. And I find that entrepreneurship, building anything, your career, like it is like a resilience, a game in resilience, right? And the truth is you're not trying from scratch, right? You try with more insight. You try again with more knowledge. You try again with more people in your boat. You try again with a new perspective. Like you just keep trying. I love what you said about who could you become if I really tried. One thing that I say to myself often is, who is waiting on the other side of me, like being obedient to my calling? Right? I don't know where I learned this. I don't know where I saw it, but it was very clear. It was like someone's breakthrough is on the other side of your obedience. And because of the work that we do, right? You and I, we work in the space of coaching. We're working with people, right? Like you said, coaching or public speaking was something that really built up your confidence.
Yeah.
When somebody is confident, what can they take on, right? And if you can be part of that journey and you're working with like startups, you're working with founders like that are building really big stuff, like they're going to have their breakthrough if you show up, right? I'm working with people that are literally blowing up their lives, saying, I've been doing this for 10 years. I don't want to keep doing it. I want to do something completely different. And they go on to start companies. They go on to build businesses. They go on to, get higher paying jobs that can feed their family with, go on vacation, take a rest. Like it's such important work. And sometimes when I'm like low and down, I almost sort of borrow their own faith and say, you know what? They're counting on me.
And you have to. There's this, and I was talking to a founder actually that talked to me about this Muhammad Ali quote that hits hard. But if you believe this idea that service to others is the rent that you pay for your room here on earth, then there's this thing that hits you in those moments where you're procrastinating, that your procrastination is preventing someone else's progress, right? Your procrastination is preventing someone else's progress. Because if you believe that you are here to serve others and your absolute calling at its highest can do something else for other people, then you take that pretty seriously and heavily when you're in those moments of, hey, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And if you've had the experience of people saying to you, hey, this really helped me. Hey, this really helped me to do X, Y, Z. I was so scared, but now I feel so calm. You already know. You know that what you are doing
possible.
People. Yes. And it helps other people. And so now it's just a thing of, you're really holding back someone else. Someone else could be further along because of you stepping into your calling further.
Get out of your own head. Get out of your own way. No, you're absolutely right. That was one of the questions we had here around resilience, right? Because it is so important. And you do need a bigger why. It can't just be, oh, let's get this money. Money will get old so quick. It'll get so old so quick if that is your actual motivation.
Yeah.
Listen, you'll get the money and then you'll rack up your expenses and then now you're chasing the next bag.
That's it. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
Or let me get this prestige or this status, and then you realize that you don't live in your title. It doesn't actually do anything for your soul, right? Like you're just kind of collecting all these things. Right? I was on a speaking engagement this morning. We were talking about this idea of like the American dream, the Canadian dream, and how you go to university, you finish, you get a corporate job, you climb the ladder, you get married, you have 2 kids, you buy the house in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how like there's millions of us, different races, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different, religions. How do we all have the same dream? How do we all have the same dream? It was fed to us. This is what success looks like.
Yeah.
And then you wake up one day and you're doing all the things and you're like, I actually don't want any of this.
Yeah. And there isn't one version of success.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Half the time, people that come to me are realizing that this is a scam. I don't actually want this. And I want to stop building, climbing, doing all the things for this dream that I don't actually want.
Yeah.
That is the beginning of like, okay, I'm going to go try something else. But that is really, really hard when you're in a system that's trying to make you focus on the dream.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you have to step out in order to be able to realize that you don't have to be a part of that same system. Like that idea, this public speaking coach that I watch a lot called Vin Jiang, he always says his tagline is reality is negotiable. Once you realize that, it starts to change how you move through life and the things that you do and what you're willing to test, the boundaries you're willing to test in your role or outside in entrepreneurship as well. It's like, okay, how much of reality is really negotiable? Are we all just agreeing to these things and no one is stepping out of line? What happens if I step out of line? Is there an alarm that's going to ring or not, actually? So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What advice would you give professionals who feel safe in their current reality, right? Knowing that like they could be doing something else somewhere else, wanting more and making more impact, what have you, right? What advice would you give them if this is safety to them? This is security.
Yeah. I think just the question comes back of who could you become if you really tried? And is there something inside you that is telling you that there's someone else that you could become? There is impact that you could have if you really tried. I think if the answer to that question is, yes, there is something in me that's telling me that there's someone else I could become if I really tried, then I think there is almost an obligation to figure out who the person is that you could become by doing all the things that you say, like going back and figuring out what are your strengths, what are the things that you actually do really well, and where can you be of most highest value. I used to think about, and I think about this significantly. I have some friends that are very entrepreneurial that can just think about ideas and then go and execute on those specific ideas. And I would say to myself, I used to walk around in downtown Vancouver trying to look, what idea, how can I get 1 million people to pay me $1? Just looking around, nothing, blanks, absolute blanks, nothing coming. And it was this understanding, at least for myself, that the product, the business that I am building has to be actually around myself. I am the product. And when I lean into that versus let me try to build something out of thin air, some specific product, that wasn't my strength in thinking about that specifically. But when it's, actually, I'm the product. It can be myself. How do I lean into that and see what impact I specifically can have by learning something and all the different skills and things that I've spent a lot of time learning about and building in a lot of knowledge on specifically. So when you kind of start to reframe some of these things of it doesn't have to be, your path doesn't have to look like everyone else's. Even when you say entrepreneurship, it's not all the same, right? Our entrepreneurship is not all the same. So just trying to figure that out. And then, of course, like what you just mentioned, when you are starting something new, there's a tendency to feel like I'm starting from the beginning.
Yeah.
You're not. You're actually just layering on skills that you already have. And you're bringing in all the things that you had already learned into this new world. Sometimes their reality is like starting out a new role might mean you're getting paid less. That wasn't the case for me. I was getting paid more by moving into product. So it was an easier financial decision, but sometimes there's the reality that you might not be earning as much. And even as an entrepreneur starting a business, that you're kind of starting from zero.
Listen,
So,
listen.
there's certain realities, but I think just the understanding that over time, as long as you are just stepping in your calling, I think it just feels a lot more fulfilling, and you get to answer that question of who could I really become.
Exactly, exactly. So what I'm hearing you say is we feel unsafe when we're trying to reach for somebody else's dream, right? So the reason why first of all, you know that you need to step out. If you're even asking the question,
yes,
you know that you need to step out.
Yes.
And it feels really scary if you're looking out and first of all, you don't even really know what people are doing, but you're trying to emulate it or you're trying to copy it or you're trying to be like this person. I had a potential client. Actually, she ended up becoming a pseudo client. But she came to me and she's like, yeah, I really want to coach. And I was like, okay, sounds good. What do you want to coach? Like, who do you want to coach? Like, why do you want to coach? All those questions, right? And she realized, I really want to work with, immigrants that come to this country because when I came, I was really struggling with my confidence and I really want to coach them on navigating just living where you're coming from and moving to a new place. I was like, that's really noble. But I think you need to speak. Just based on the conversation that we had, it wasn't actually coaching. It was actually speaking. Just telling her story was so powerful that I'm like, honestly, if you just told your story and you told it to enough people, you would first of all make a lot of impact. And then out of the telling your story and telling to other people, there's going to be women in that room, men in that room. They're going to come back around and say, hey, that story really impacted me. How can you help me navigate? And that's when the coaching is going to come.
Yeah. I like that.
Because she was spending a lot of time on, I want to coach entrepreneurs. I'm like, okay, sounds great. You want to work with women, immigrants, people, okay, entrepreneurs. Again, all these ideas all jumbled up. And I'm like, okay, cool. Why? Well, because I really feel like, getting boxed into the corporate world, you need to be able to leave. And, when I was an immigrant, I didn't have the confidence to leave. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And she's like, well, because I really wanted to do this and really wanted to do that. And ultimately, we got to the core of it. And it wasn't like just leave or, help people make their own money or become entrepreneurs. You want them to have that confidence.
Yeah.
Because if they have that confidence, then they can do anything. Right. And, this is why coaching is so powerful, because before coming to me, she had gone down the path of like, oh, let me go build an Amazon business. Right. And she was successful, but she was like, oh, let me go build an Amazon business. Or let me go build a tangible product and let me go whatever. And that way, when I tell people I want to coach them, I can show that this is my evidence that I can coach them on their business because I have a business. And I'm like, so you want to create a company as proof of concept that you can coach people to be confident in themselves to do things that they want? That's a really roundabout way.
Yeah. To getting where you want to be. Yeah.
But that's what people do. They see, oh, such and such, is coaching on sales and they spent 8 years in sales. So therefore, I need to have experience. They miss what's happening here.
Yeah. And it's such a tough one because it's like you feel, and I think I did a bit of that as well. I went to the World Championship of Public Speaking and got to the quarterfinals. But in the back of my head, I kept saying I need credibility. I could have started doing this before that, but I kept saying I need something to be able to tell people. Sure enough, people do ask the question of how did you get into speaking? There's only probably one person who said to me, why you? Why do you coach? What did you do that makes you a person to be able to coach people on public speaking? What did you do? And that again, I felt like, I had to validate. I went to the World Championship of Public Speaking. That's why but it's like you don't need those things. I didn't need that in hindsight. Hindsight is 2020. I don't think I needed that external validation to be able to do the actual thing itself.
Oh, this conversation is giving me so much life because a lot of the conversations I have with my clients all the time, right? It's this idea of you don't need to start from scratch. You don't need to go back to school. You don't need to blow up your entire life. Like, I promise you, a lot of the things that you're looking for and looking to shift and they're already inside of you. You kind of stuffed them down because you got out of school and you took the safe route.
Yeah.
Right? Me wanting to be an entrepreneur, this has been me. This has been me forever. Like, me wanting to like travel the world and speak, I haven't quite gotten there yet, but it's on the list. It's been me forever. I remember being like 27, 28, sitting down with my financial advisor. He's like, so what are your financial goals? And I thought, oh, I need to buy a house. So I was saving for a house, knowing in the back of my mind, I don't want to buy a house in the suburb. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. But I'm just like, okay, well, this is what they say. And this is knowing inside, I don't want to do it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why we say you don't need all these things, because it's inside of you, right? Sometimes you need to level up, of course.
Yes.
You were the one that said this to me, and you probably don't even remember. You're like, you need to practice speaking. I don't know if you remember saying this to me. I am a naturally good speaker. I can talk for Africa. Like, this is...
Yeah.
I can talk for Africa. I'm a really good conversationist, really good speaker. I rely on being able to come and turn it on and do the thing and whatever. You said to me, it's really important to practice. And that hit me in my gut a little bit, because I was like, oh, I don't practice. I do not practice.
Yeah.
I don't do it. I'm just like, I'll just ride on my charisma. If I have some little notes, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I don't practice. And that was the first time that what you said convicted me to be like, okay, you want to be this world-class speaker on stages globally. You don't want to practice? That hit me in my gut. And like, ever since you said that, all the speaking engagements I have, I've actually started putting in like prep time to read through the questions before, to come up with some answers. Obviously, you don't want to be fully rehearsed, but come up with some answers. Think about it. Like, try to stay on track. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I never used to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Never.
Yeah, I love that you are. It just makes it so much more of an intentional experience, especially when you start to, obsess over how you say things, because that's a lot of how people perceive information based on how you say things. So now when you start less haphazard and more intentional about, I'm going to pause after I say this specific thing so that the audience can just sit with it, because pausing is the equivalent of saying, let that sink in, without saying the words, let that sink in. So I'm going to be more intentional about that. My body language, where I walk in the room, I'll stand in the center at this point, then I'll move to the left of the room so that the people on the left feel a lot more engaged, and I'll come back in the center and I'll go to the right. It's so intentional in the experience that you're curating as a speaker for your audience. That needs practice. Right? That needs practice on how you're going to do some of those things.
And that's the difference between someone that can talk and inspire a room and someone that's a professional speaker. That's the difference. And it's now up to me to decide, do I want to be just someone that talks and inspires people and I can do it in my coaching? Or do I want to be a public speaker?
Yeah.
This is what is required.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that.
No, listen, again, you probably just said it like a throwaway thing. Yeah, when I practice in the mirror and I just like, I gotta practice this thing. I just show up. I show up when I have a good time.
Oh, that's good. That's so much charisma. I love it.
There's a question in the chat. It says from John Paul. It says, did you create the opportunity to, I guess, public speak, or did public speaking find you? I guess it was a bit of both, a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm very big on, serendipity happens when you put yourself in the position for it to actually happen. Right? This luck, these happenstance, these, oh my goodness, how did that happen? There's an aspect of you putting yourself in a position. If you didn't go to that networking event, if you didn't raise your hand and ask the question, if you didn't reach out to that person on LinkedIn, right? Who's to say that luck, that serendipity, that opportunity wouldn't have happened? So I'm very big on, you create some of these opportunities by being in the right place at the right time for someone to tell you, hey, you should go and create a public speaking scorecard. If I didn't go to that event, I don't meet Moses at the same event, he hears me talking about this specific thing and wants to give me this advice. So I think there's a big opportunity in going after the things that you want. And as you are doing that, opportunity will continue to meet you over and over and over and over again.
100%. This has been true in my life, in the life of my clients. You have to show up. You have to show up. Like 90% of the work is showing up.
Yeah.
Like literally. And that means that doesn't mean just always physically, I don't mean physically show up. I mean, show up in whatever it is that you're doing. Right? So that day of that event that we met, so it was Toby that put the event together. I was in my head. I was like, Toby works with all these amazing entrepreneurs. What do I have to add to the room? Maybe I'll show up late, or maybe I'll just show up and not really talk to anyone and whatever, right? But I showed up. And then he introduced us and I was like, oh, this is a really cool person. I could have left it there, but I was like, no, let me connect with this person.
Yeah.
Right. And then in that same vein, I was talking to another organization and you had just spoken with them. And I was like, hey, can we compare notes? Like, what are they? And I like I said, since I met you, I've just been asking.
As you should. I will continue asking too, as you should.
I was like, do you want to come on this thing? Do you want to do this thing? What about this thing? What about that thing? Like, you have to show up. You have to give value, but you also have to not be afraid to ask, right? So many people are so afraid to ask, and so many people make it overwhelming. Well, I don't want to seem like an opportunist. I don't want to seem like I'm trying to get something. The reality is, if you genuinely care about the other person that's on the other side of you, and you're there looking to learn, you don't need to find the synergies. You don't need to strategize on how you're going to position. Nah, it's a conversation.
Yeah. Just be.
You can't rehearse it.
Yeah. I like that a lot.
You cannot.
I like that a lot. I think we're just in our heads a lot with these networking events and all these moments, high stakes moments. I'm going to meet some people that could, change things for me completely, that could put me on another trajectory. And then you start trying to rehearse, and then you end up sounding rehearsed as well. That comes even in the speaking context. End up sounding rehearsed, and not just having a conversation and being curious. I think that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, about being curious about people and just asking questions and getting to know people, not just having this constant desire to want to say, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this. And actually get to know people, and people like talking about what it is that they're doing, and you being curious about them and interested in their lives and all the things that they're doing. It actually allows you to connect better with them, for them to be like, oh, you actually had a really great conversation with someone, and that felt really
Yeah. I think that's one thing that I'm walking away with in this conversation, and all the conversations that I've had. All the people that I invited on to this platform all of September, I've known them just in passing on LinkedIn, or some of them are quite close, some of them are, but I found that I've learned so much just by having these conversations and really just digging into what is behind people's stories, right? What is behind the polished LinkedIn profile? What is behind the perfect graphic that says the amazing inspirational thing that I need to hear in that moment? What is behind, do you know what I'm saying? What is behind all of that, right? I don't think that we have enough conversation in real life around what is going on. I think we do a lot of talking at the internet,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we don't do a lot of talking with each other. In the last 5 minutes here, I want to give you the opportunity to plug your business, any programs you're working on, any way that people can find you, any of that, and then I'll share a little bit more about what I'm up to.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just reminded me of the constant comparing your chapter 1 to people's chapter 20 and how hard it is. I was just doing it myself. I was looking at Ryan Leak or someone's website and I was like, wait, he has this program, he has this offer, he's like 10 different offers. He has like, how did he get here? This is ridiculous. And it's so easy to get into that space when you don't have the behind the scenes of, oh, it took this, oh, and it took this. Oh, I've actually been doing this for 20 years consistently. It's like, oh, okay, I've just been doing this for a few years. Okay, cool. So that perspective is so necessary. And thank you for actually allowing people to see that perspective as opposed to kind of just the highlights that you see on all these different platforms. So I think it's extremely valuable for people to see all of that. Yes, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching that people can sign up for on my website, mthabisimhlanga.ca. Do a lot of one-on-one coaching, 6-week one-on-one coaching programs, and also speaking. So any sort of keynote speaking opportunities that people are looking for in their organizations on all things related to confidence, owning your story, owning your voice, and becoming more confident communicators. That's what I do as well with organizations to come in and speak at different types of events that they have or associations, or if it's you're in your specific teams as well, teams that are doing a lot of speaking in front of people and want their teams to feel a lot more confident doing that. And I go into workshops as well with organizations. So those are kind of the 3 avenues: the workshops, the keynote speaking, and the one-on-one coaching that I do. And all of those things can be found on my website, booking a session with me, and then we can talk more.
So who's your ideal client for the one-on-one program? Like who usually signs up, or who are you looking to sign up?
Yeah, usually it's professionals in leadership roles. So in management roles where they're managing teams, where they're speaking in front of people, the industry is kind of very wide and spread out. But usually it's professionals that are in management roles, that are speaking, that are about to be in management roles, or that are executives and are already doing this a lot and are wanting to be a lot more sharp. And of course, I also work with founders. So entrepreneurs that are pitching their businesses and want to get better at speaking and just all the different mechanics around speaking, in addition to working on their actual pitches themselves, so that they can feel more confident when they're pitching their business to investors, to customers, to banks, to partners, etc. So professionals, management, leadership executives, and founders.
Okay, so this is me planting a seed, and I don't know when it's going to be watered, but you could probably do a really good job coaching future speakers.
Okay, I'll take
People
that.
that want to be, professional speakers and take the career and, the personal brand and what your topics are and fine-tuning your talk and going out there and pitching. Just saying.
I love that.
Because I would pay for that. So this is the opportunity of when people are like, I'm thinking I will pay for that.
I love that. Okay, I'll take that one. You know me, I told you when I get things, blueprints, instructions, we're going straight to execute. So
I love that. I love that. So for everyone that's been following along, my name is Ibiemi. I've said this before. I do have a program that I'm running this October for people that are in transition. So mid-career professionals, you're 7 to 10 years in, you woke up one day and realized this is not it. For whatever reason, you're burnt out, you don't like this industry anymore, everything has changed, you want to do your own thing, like this is not it. It's a 6-week program to get you to what actually is, right? So what I'm not saying is that I'm not saying that I'm going to get you a job in 6 weeks. We're not doing that. This is a journey. When you're making a pivot, when you're blowing up your life, it takes time. But this is the preparation ground, right? So we take you through what do you actually want. We take you through, how do we get there? What is the research? We take you through how to position. So if it's what Mthabisi did with, accounting background, accounting tech product, with his all of that kind of stuff, we take you through that process, right? And then we get you prepared to go out there and start applying, start interviewing, right? It's an amazing program. I've run 3 cohorts of it. This is going to be our 4th cohort in the last year and a half or so. lots of success stories. I'll put the link in the chat, and then I want you guys to sign up and show up for these events. And, you know, who knows, maybe you have Mthabisi come in as one of our secondary coaches. Again, I keep asking for stuff. But this is great. This is great. I learned so much. I learned so much about you, the work that you do, how powerful it is to do it. I learned about resilience and how to make sure that I'm focusing on the work and the people on the other side and who I'm becoming, all the things. It's just so many, like, I hate when people say gems, but like really, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us. It has been a great September. I'm tired. We've had so many of these conversations. All of them are on YouTube, so you can definitely go back and rewatch them. And I'll see you, I guess not in the next one, but another series.
Yeah.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Of course.